Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Game Junk Podcast, episode 137, recording on Sunday, February 5th, 2023. My name is Frank.
My name is Sean.
And my name is Andrew.
And today, a last-minute idea, a great idea as far as I'm concerned. Dead Space remake. Everyone's talking about it. I've yet to play it. Sean has played it, and we'll be talking about it. But we're going to do our top 5 most desired remakes or remasters. Now, Sean did a little research. Apparently, we did this on episode 8, probably some 10, 12 years ago, around that area. So my list will probably be the same. I don't remember what I said then. I can't speak for you guys, although I feel like I could write your lists for you. I loved this exercise. I have about 30 games that I whittled down to 5. Where are you guys at?
A little harder.
I probably had about 6 games that I whittled down to 5. So, maybe 7.
Now, this was coming in real hot, so I'm sure we will forget things in the comments. I will be embarrassed for games that I did not mention. But I say, fuck it. Let's just get into it. Let's do the list. Starting with number 5. I'm going to have Sean go last, so because he's really swapping things in and out. You're struggling. Huck, you're up first.
Okay. My number 5 is Blast Corps from the N64 era. I just recall this game just being a fun little puzzle game that really you don't see that much anymore. And I think it would really benefit from a remake. And, I think we need a game like this back in our lives where, it's just a fun, stupid game that has quick little short levels. And we don't really see that too much these days.
Yeah, I think it could, work in well, like an upgraded version with streaming and chaos, some quality of life improvements, I think would benefit that game. I believe, I can't remember if that was part of Rare Replay.
I think it was. I think it's in there.
I honestly don't know. But I remember liking it at the time. Been a long time since I revisited that game. But I'm going to stay not just in the N64 era, but on the Nintendo 64. Wave Race 64. There was a sequel to Wave Race. It came out on the GameCube. It sucked. They messed with the physics of the game too much. It did not feel anywhere near or near and dear to the same game that I loved and listened to CDs and played Wave Race all day long back in the day in high school. I want the same core physics, maybe slightly tweaked, new upgraded graphics with pristine water. If you want to get Rare back and get their Sea of Thieves water, the only thing worthy of anyone using in that game. And let's make the perfect version of Wave Race 64.
This is sounding real familiar. I'm pretty sure that was on your previous.
Oh, whatever, bud.
and it's funny, as you're talking that, other games are popping in my head that I'm pretty sure are like from that old list that I probably should put on this list. So, and Blast Corps was on Rare Replay.
We may have had a junk mail question about this too, so I feel like it may have been discussed more recently. But you know what? This is more official. So,
I've only got so many things in my brain that I can talk about. I repeat things constantly. Wave Race 64 is on that list, as is every game on this list. Let's be honest.
So I'm guessing a lot of the lists, or a lot of the games on your lists for both of you guys, is more games that you really liked that you'd like to revisit. For me, it's actually games that I've always wanted to play but never got around to, and this would be like a new version of it would force me to play it. Okay, so my number 5.
Okay,
just throwing that out there. My number 5 is Zak McKraken and the Alien Mindbenders. So we've seen some remastered versions of some classic LucasArts games, Day of the Tentacle, Full Throttle, Grim Fandango. This one is kind of like came out around the same time as the original Maniac Mansion, which I love. And I've played a little bit of it, but I never made it very far in this game. Always wanted to get into it. So give me an upgraded version of this. Give me a VR version of this.
That's the assist I get for the VR idea. This game, Zak McKraken in VR.
Yes. I'll tell you the other one that I had on my list, but I just looked it up and they're already making it, is Riven, the sequel to Myst, because they've done Myst in VR, but Riven is not available, but apparently they're working on it.
All right. Well, mine are games I want to revisit. I have some ideas we'll talk about after that I think I would still like to see remastered that had potential. But my number 4 comes with a cat. Oh, sorry, Huck.
This guy is eager. I was gonna say also, before I do my number 4 first, is that mine is a mix as well of games I have beaten but want to play again, and games I have never played and want to experience through remasters. So you're not alone there, Sean.
Sorry, Huck. I was reverting back to our top 10 list order. And
I know. Yeah. We can't play this change it up game. We're
never should have done that.
Way too old for that. My number 4 is the original Shining Force game. I would like to see it remade and have the turn-based strategy portions be more like Valkyria Chronicles was, where there's like a real-time element to it, and there is still like the, all the strategy that you have. And yeah, I really enjoy the first game, but it is, one of those games that it probably doesn't age as well as some others.
Wasn't the first game in that series Shining in the Darkness?
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
Okay. I don't know. I that's a good one because I forget about Shining Force a lot. I've never played it, but I was almost thinking that could be a VR remake in some ways, because when I think of Shining Force, I think of the battle screen, like the iconic battle screen where you're seeing the enemy in this beautiful, like almost full screen artwork. And I need that in my life in some capacity. VR is the way. Make it happen. My number 4 comes with a caveat, which is I could have made my entire list 3D platformers, and I decided not to. So at the expense of Conker's Bad Fur Day, Mario 64, and Banjo-Kazooie, the game that goes on the list as the 3D platformer I want to be remade the most is Jak and Daxter. Jak and Daxter 1, not those pieces of shit 2 and 3. The classic, amazing 3D platformer that still controls well, really just needs a graphical overhaul and some quality of life stuff added to it. And I think it would still sing today, baby.
It's a blind spot for me.
Did they not do a remake of this one?
I thought they did too.
Remaster? I mean, I guess this is...
You're telling me there's a remaster of Jak and Daxter I don't know about. I played every version of it, platinumed it a million times. Come on, dude.
I thought there was. I honestly feel like I played it on PS3, but maybe that's too old.
They did an HD collection.
Oh, man, maybe that's what I'm thinking of.
They did it on Vita as well, and they also released just an upscaled PS2 version.
Maybe we're thinking of Ratchet and Clank.
Ratchet and Clank got a full remaster on PS4. I want that treatment for Jak and Daxter 1 and 1 only. Oh, pardon me. Whoa. See, you're thinking there's remasters of this game already. You're not even calling me out on the right thing. I want a remaster of Jak and Daxter, the Precursor Legacy, the official full title. How embarrassing by me. Holy crap.
This is sounding real familiar. There is a Jak and Daxter Precursor Legacy that I have on my PSN library, but is that just the original game?
Yeah, in HD with like upscaled textures or uplist textures.
All right, that must be what I'm thinking of. The Mario 64, that's not on my list, but just you mentioned that, and that's a really interesting one just because like it has been re-released, but I would love to see that game just tweaked a bit. You know what I mean? Like it's so frustrating.
Do you remember one of the greatest ideas I've ever had, Sean? And it was close.
There's just so many. How could we possibly remember the one greatest?
Apple buying Nintendo. All these things need to happen. My prediction that Mario Odyssey was going to have all of Mario 64 in it when you beat the game. And it's close. It's the kingdom from Mario 64 as the last area, but that would have been incredible because it's like a small game. They could have just, or DLC within Mario Odyssey where you go and do all of the Mario 64 areas. Oh, that would have been fantastic.
Yeah.
Oh, why do that when you could just charge $80 for?
Yeah, totally.
Definitely.
Because you would definitely pay. Lots of people would definitely pay.
Everyone would definitely pay.
Okay, my number 4. I feel like this has been talked about at some point on the show, but I'm going to say The Saboteur, which is a nice little World War II set open world game where you have to go around and, kill Nazis, but behind sneaking in the shadows kind of thing. And played a bit of it. Always wanted to go back to it. Give me an upgraded version and I will be much more likely to do that.
I played that game and loved it. I beat it, and it's a great one. It would be a great one for this remake. What are we talking about? I can't remember what I'm trying to say here.
Our top
for the
5
remake treatment,
most desired remasters and remakes.
It's a great choice for a remake, is what I'm trying to say.
All right,
it's something that should be desired.
Yes, totally. My number 3 is a PlayStation 1 game called Vagrant Story, which is an RPG has kind of unique mechanics where you have to like target limbs of the enemies you're fighting. And I've tried to get in this game multiple times and always kind of fall off. And it is very, PS1 boxy, not kind of hard to like see what's going on because the lighting's not great. There's a lot of like rotating cameras, awkwardly stuff. So I know this game is praised for its story and for, the lore. And I think it has something to do with like Final Fantasy 12 or something like that, or one of those games. But I really would like to see this game redone in, a remake form. I desire it.
My number 3 is Resistance Fall of Man for the PlayStation 1. One of my favorite first-person shooters. Initially wrote it off. Didn't write it off, but I'm like, this is kind of a Halo rip-off, but just grew to love it even more than Halo with the inspired weapons and secondary fire. And kind of did Doom 2016 before Doom, where you could just move quickly. It wasn't as much about cover. And I would like to see the whole series remastered, but in particular, the first one.
Good choice.
Definitely has been discussed and still no announcements. So I'm kind
Even
of
just to get a version of the first one with trophies. It's all I really care about.
Didn't we talk about it just like last week, how it's not easy to play currently? Yeah.
Needs to be easy. People should play Resistance.
All right, my number 3. This is a game I've never really played. Always was curious about it. It's called No One Lives Forever. I don't know if you guys remember this one. It's
coming up in the Discord.
Yeah, Discord was talking about it just recently.
And I think through the Discord, I did find out that there's a way to play this game and its sequel. So this is like a 2000s first-person shooter spy kind of parody game. Like it's kind of comedic. And so I think the rights to this series are like, nobody knows who the hell owns it, or like there's multiple companies that have a part of it. I don't really understand it, but because of that, it's kind of like in this weird legal limbo. But there is a site out there that there's like a fan-made version of this game that you can get, that they've kind of updated it at least so that it plays on, widescreen monitors and has some quality of life improvements. But I mean, to get a full remake would be great. I just don't know if it'll ever happen.
Is Perfect Dark on your list? Is this all just espionage games that you want to play?
No, I was playing Perfect Dark this past week though, so maybe that's why all this stuff is in my head.
Interesting. My number 2 is Resistance: Fall of Man. Same as Frank. I really grew to love this series and have had the itch to go back to it, but it's just kind of difficult to play right now. And it's a shame because it is a really, really incredible first-person shooter that people should be able to have access to right now. So all the stuff Frank said, love this series. It's great. Need this game.
And then springboard a sequel. Let's get us some new sequels after that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's rested for long enough. It's time to bring it back.
Yes. My number 2, my favorite game of all time, Uncharted, Drake's Fortune. The original Uncharted changed the way I looked at video games. Has dated quite a bit. I would love to see, much like The Last of Us Part 1, reimagining graphically what Drake could be with all the stuff they learned on future games, those lush jungle environments, and just tweaking it ever so slightly. It would be the perfect game for that.
How would you feel if they called it Uncharted Part 1?
I would not like that. Wouldn't it be Uncharted 1?
I guess, yeah, that would probably make more sense.
Because Uncharted 2, it's not Part 2, it's Uncharted 2.
That's true. Okay, my number 2. I'm really getting a sense of deja vu. I've probably done exactly this list before. Number 2, Deus Ex. I've always wanted to play the original. I mean, I've played probably bits and pieces of the sequels more than I've played the original. But here's the weird thing with this one. There is a fan remake out there called, what's it called? Deus Ex Revision. And, apparently, from reading up on it, it's kind of like some people are saying, they've changed too many things. You got to play the original. So then it's like, now I'm like, okay, what version, if I was going to play this game, what version should I play? I really don't know. So give me a proper remake so I don't have to make that choice, please.
I only know part of the right answer. It's never a fan remake. No, I do not endorse them, and I will never play them.
A lot of people, there's that Half-Life one that a lot of people say is great. It's on a lot of lists of best remakes out there. So I don't know. I haven't tried it myself.
They're cool.
Kind of with
just they're not official. Anything unofficial is lame. It's gotta be official.
My number 1 is a spy espionage game called Alpha Protocol, which is I think a game that was ahead of its time and had some technical issues and some balancing issues. But I think the bones of this game are really strong. It was one of the first games I played that really had like some interesting, like story choices that would lead to gameplay impacts. And I think this game deserves a remake.
Heard of it. Never played it.
I was able to get about halfway through, and then I hit an absolutely insane difficulty spike and could never get past it. So for that reason alone, I want so I could actually finish it one day.
Very cool.
To me, yeah.
Yep.
Frankie.
Sean and I have the same number 1. Doesn't really matter. Metroid Prime, the first and only one. I don't really care about the sequels. We might get a remaster of all 3, but I want Metroid Prime 1 reimagined, same room structure, same ideas, new graphics. The game is almost perfect with some maybe fast travel elements or some improvements in getting around the game. The map is like Fallen Order has a very similar map, so everything would hold up. It just needs that that cutting edge graphical look, preferably not on a Switch, which is impossible. But maybe some new technology will be the perfect showcase for Metroid Prime. And like, it's been way too long since we saw that After Effects presentation for Metroid Prime 4. What is going on? How can Nintendo be dropping the ball this badly on 3D Metroid? It's an absolute embarrassment.
It's very strange.
They're not even hard to make. How many Metroid-like games come out every week? It's not that hard. You just need new art and a couple of new ideas. Get with it.
I was waiting for you to drop the VR angle there. I thought you were going to go all VR on this.
Ooh, that is intriguing, I have to admit.
Should have.
Yeah, I mean, it's weird because there aren't that many first-person Metroidvania games out there. I mean, there's a few, but that's still kind of unexplored territory, I think, or unexploited territory, maybe.
Good point, Sean. If everyone's making Metroid likes, why aren't they making 3D Metroid likes to the quality of Metroid Prime?
Yeah, there's not a lot out there.
Hello?
The Chozo ruins ruined everybody, I think. Or whatever those things at the end you have to get.
Yeah, but yeah, that's my number one as well. I will say, like, I want the trilogy because part 3, the only way you can play it, the only way it's ever been released is with the Wii controls. And I just want to play it with a regular analog stick. So that's a big deal for me too. But it sounds like there's a very, oh, nice. There you go. It sounds like
never played. Purchased, never played.
I also I played Metroid Prime 3 on the Wii for about an hour.
Yeah, 2 and 3 I've played a few hours of both, have not finished either one. But it sounds like there's a very good chance this is happening. Like, it was supposed to be announced whatever the last big direct was, and it didn't come. So I don't know what's going on, but I would be very surprised if it's not announced by the end of this year.
Well, I hope you're right, Sean. Who knows with Nintendo? I don't even know what to expect from them anymore. They're a complete disaster. All right. Those are the
disaster that just prints money.
Pretty much, yeah.
If money is your god, then worship Nintendo. I will not, my friend. But those are our most desired remakes. Not the ones that I think would be the most interesting necessarily. I got a lot more meat on this bone that I want to get to. I don't have to spend a lot of time on it, but some other games that were running through my mind. Number one, if there's any sports game I want remade, it's Wayne Gretzky 3D hockey.
Oh, yes.
Where I can play it and beat Huck properly without having Sean bring down my skills.
Please.
I still think it is.
Don't blame Sean for your ineptitude.
The speed of passing and one-timers in that game is perfect. It needs to be recreated with fully licensed players and teams and logos and modern graphics. The 3-on-3 or the different modes in NHL games, they're okay, but they still don't match the fury of that game.
It's kind of like the NFL Blitz series in hockey form.
Well, there was another one, 2-on-2 hit the ice challenge or something like that. And that one was a little closer to actual 2D NBA Jam, but Wayne Gretzky, and there was Hits. Hits wasn't as good as 3D hockey either. I want that game. Exactly that game with new rosters and players. Viva Pinata. There's been since Stardew Valley, there's been a boom of construction management simulators, and it didn't get the respect it deserved when it came out. And I can only imagine the already amazing art style with current graphics would blow my mind. Let's make it happen.
Can you imagine the detail in the romance dance?
Oh,
I mean, I can't believe they didn't do a mobile version of this game. Come on.
Yeah.
Let's see it. Viva Pinata. I almost don't want to give this one out because it's a series I probably have given it out on the show before, but it's such a good idea. And it's a forgotten game, Rampart. It's half like Tetris wall building, half strategy, and then like action elements in. It's such a unique game. Anytime I have someone try it or play it, we play it for hours as a multiplayer game. Rampart needs to be reimagined. Nothing has come close. It's this forgotten game that deserves way more attention.
Is that
Rampart.
game
Look
is that
it
game
up.
on any platforms other than SNES?
There's like it's on Midway collections and some other arcade collections on almost every platform, but I want a new version of this game and like for it to be expanded in some way. There is a simplicity to it that no other strategy game or Worms or other things, like they don't get it. They don't make it right.
Considered a precursor to the tower defense genre.
I get it. It's just more fun than those. It's simpler. Okay, I'm editing this out. We should just make a Rampart clone because it's so good. This one, Maximo, the 3D Ghosts and Goblins game that came out on PlayStation that got really good reviews. Always liked it, never beat it. Feel like it would be a little clunky now and it's hard to get an HD remaster. Would like to revisit that game. Didn't play its sequel, but I remember enjoying the first one quite a bit. While we're on PS2, God of War Classic. I want the first God of War remade in the style or graphic style, something closer to God of War 3. Reimagine that entire trilogy with new graphics so we can compare the
that'd be cool
versus old God of War. One that's come up a lot. I thought was going to be on Huck's list. Could use a remake of Bully, fully remastered.
Oh yeah.
Nice,
yeah, that'd be a good one.
Simple, open world game. Let's get into some untapped potential. Seaman for the Dreamcast.
Definitely untapped.
It's weird artificial life game. I bought it. It didn't work that well. The learning with the audio. We have like AI, all these AI advancements of teaching something. Maybe I think there's going to be a boom within games of teaching characters and learning characters in games. And Seaman was delightfully weird, but not functional. And I think we're at a point where the functionality could match the ambition with AI. So let's get a version of that. I guess that's it for untapped potential. The next are games I always wanted to like that were flawed and potentially hideously unattractive to the point of unplayability. And one is Panzer Dragoon Saga, an RPG that everyone says is one of the best RPGs ever made, is super expensive to buy. Even if you bought it, it's 4 discs and grotesque. I remember thinking this game is so ugly. I can't even follow what's going on it. No, it's probably not as bad as I say, but I love the world of Panzer Dragoon. Someone has got to be working on a remake of this game. I would be shocked if they aren't, considering copies of it go for $2,000 on eBay. But I'd like to see what the fuss is all about with that game. A game I wanted to love, but the world idea was cool. The combat was not great. Nightmare Creatures, a 3D game where you hunt like strange monsters. Great idea. Did not play well. I'd like to see a good version of that game.
I cannot remember that one.
No? It's pretty sweet, dude. Check it out. And then Metal Gear Solid. We've had one remake. I still want another one. It's one of the best games ever. And you worked on one, Sean. So that was a while ago.
Yeah.
Better version.
We did it with the MGS2 engine. Let's do it with the MGS3 or 4 engine now.
Whatever the next one is.
Yeah.
And finally, I don't even know if this game's that good, but what I played, I really liked, and I just want to play it again. Folklore on PS3. It was this weird RPG where you have different creatures that fight for you, and you play two different characters and play the same levels over again with slightly different twists. I always really thought it a great art style and ideas, but just wasn't that fun. So let's get the modern controls and ideas and make Folklore the incredible game it could have been. And we got to throw in Eternal Darkness.
Yeah, I was going to mention that. I mean, with all the horror remakes happening, this one seems like it should, but I have no idea what the rights would be or how that would happen.
Yeah, seems highly unlikely, but a game that it'd be interesting to see how it's received now, because it didn't get a lot of attention. I know it's a beloved critical game, but I'd like to see what audiences actually think of it now.
It's so funny. Go ahead, Sean.
I was just going to say, I'll throw out one more GameCube game. Beautiful Joe. Do you guys remember this game?
Was looking at it on my shelf, almost brought it up on this list. I actually think the art style holds up still. So it just needs to be playable somewhere at the very least. If you made it HD, it's a great game, I think.
Yeah. So
it's Platinum Games. That was or I think it's a bunch of the people who eventually made Platinum Games that made Beautiful Joe. So I'm sure the combat holds up. That definitely needs to happen.
It's so funny as you guys are discussing these games, probably my old list is just flooding back, but I had a couple that kept popping into my head. Beetle Adventure Racing for the N64.
Okay, that sounds
such a classic. Diddy Kong Racing, also classic racing
That's
game.
A good call.
Kart racer. Body Harvest, another N64 gem that was way ahead of its time. It was probably the first kind of open world, kind of 3D shooter game. You could even call it probably a platformer, Frank. Probably right up your alley.
I did not like Body Harvest.
Yeah, it was
by Rockstar though.
Yeah, it was kind of interesting. There's also another game that's jumping into my head from
Silicon Valley game.
No,
also
it's a different. Yeah, and then I gotta go
Gemini.
Jet Force Gemini. Yeah, there was some sort of, was it called Hybrid Heaven or something like that? Does that ring a bell for the N64? I think it was called Hybrid Heaven.
That also makes me think of. I didn't like the Mission Impossible N64 game. Sean, add another espionage game to your list, and I still Shadows of the Empire is so bad. I still want a remastered version of it, the best version of Shadows of the Empire possible.
That would be probably pretty fun.
I was thinking about Star Wars games, and I was thinking about the Dark Forces series, Jedi Knight. How have those not been updated?
True. Those are Doom clones.
Yeah. The boomer shooters.
Yeah. Especially in this, age of boomer shooters.
There's a lot of boomer shooter remakes. Power Slave, which I never got into, just had I bought it. It looks pretty cool. And yeah, I think Dark Forces just remaster could be awesome.
But we gotta give some love to the Commodore 64 too, Sean. I couldn't believe that you only had that Zak McKraken.
I really needed to represent more. I agree.
But there's a couple that I'm sure were on my list before. Little Computer People, which is kind of like The Sims.
Speaking of AI, I mean, you could really take advantage of AI there.
It was just
finally ready for Spore.
Maybe could be. And the last one that I'll talk about that I have a love for is Save New York on the Commodore 64. It was just a weird little space alien shooter game where you get to fly a plane or go into the subway system, and it's basically a fancy version of Asteroids. Or no, what's the Space Invaders? Or the other ones that are dropping.
Galaga?
Is it Galaga? The ones where you're trying to save the city at the bottom. It's not Space Invaders, but it's another one like that.
Missile Command?
Missile Command, yeah, Missile Command. Kind of like a fancy that, where the aliens are trying to destroy the buildings and stuff, and you could destroy them yourself, which is kind of cool in this game. But I always love this game. Really neat.
Cool.
Nice. I think I'm tapped out on the remakes. I'm sure there's some I forgot, but why make any new games? Every good game you made, just keep re-releasing them. I'm sick of new games. They all stink.
I mean, it could be a whole debate on the state of, the number of remakes coming out. Although, in talking about doing this list and doing potentially a best remakes list of games that have already been remade and come out, Nintendo's been doing this for so long. Like it seems like remakes are a thing now, and that's all anybody can think about. But Nintendo has done it for many, many years.
Interesting you mentioned that, because I don't remember any articles about concern for remakes when Nintendo was doing it.
Yeah.
It wasn't a problem in the industry when Nintendo was the only one doing that. So glad you brought that up, Sean. But are we done with this list? Can we move on to what we played?
I think we're good.
Yep. Let's move on.
All right. Who wants to go first?
Oh, I've been playing just one thing, and that is Subnautica. I'm back in the ocean, and I am loving this game. I bought it on Steam. It was on sale. I bought it and Below Zero, which is the sequel, sorry. And I haven't touched Below Zero yet. I've just been doing Subnautica, but it is just such a relaxing game for me. You just kind of go and collect stuff. I think this is why people like Minecraft so much, but what I like about Subnautica is there is goals along the way. So you have, places you need to go, and you know that they're at a certain depth, and you need to upgrade to certain things to get to that depth, and build specific vehicles or different habitats for you to live at, or something to make your life in the ocean easier. And I just really like the collectathon nature of this game, and just slowly building up your little ocean town that you have, and your vehicles and stuff like that, and your abilities, and just very relaxing. I really like this game
on VR, and it doesn't tell you how to play at all. I don't know if it's a VR thing, but I had no idea what to do. I was just like, I was in the ocean. I don't know the controls, so I don't know if I missed something, or if it was a Steam VR
I feel like the VR is almost like an unofficial thing they added. Like, it's not.
I get that sense.
Yeah.
It's rough. It was rough when I tried it, but I've always wanted to try those games. Sean, what have you been playing, bud?
Well, I guess we're talking about remakes. I should talk a bit about the Dead Space remake, which, I probably haven't played enough to really dig into this. But I will say, so I bought it on Xbox Series X, surprisingly, which is very rare for me to buy a multi-platform game on the Xbox. But I had read some stuff that the performance was slightly better in some ways on Xbox, and it was like kind of discounted because of EA Play. So I was like, okay. But it does look very, very nice. I mean, it's a kind of a given, I guess, but like it's a beautiful looking game. And I think the main thing that occurred to me just playing through like the first hour is how satisfying the sort of shooting off the limbs is amazing. And then the stomp is amazing and feels great. Like, just even stomping open crates and whatever else you come across. Like, I don't know why it's a stupid little thing, but it just feels really good. And those are just, like, from the horror standpoint, the atmosphere and everything is great, but like just the actual little gameplay things in this game are somehow a cut above the rest, I think. So I'm definitely excited to keep playing. And I'm probably about at the point I ever was with this original game. I never played very far in the first Dead Space. So
interesting. It is a very good game.
Oh yeah.
I've not played the remake yet. This was my weekend, but another game captured my attention, which I will not get to quite yet. First, in the spirit of remakes, remasters, I did try Goldeneye on Xbox. It peaked at the 4K texture rare logo That is amazing. Seeing that with like perfect textures rotating with the sound, it's kind of all downhill from there. So I did the dam mission, and it was a fun trip with like down nostalgia lane. Music is still great. The vibe is good, but I still it going back and playing it compared to modern first person shooters, it's a little rough, especially in terms of stealth and not being seen. And I don't even know if I'm doing it right. I thought there was a way to get through the level without people seeing you, but now I'm not so sure if I'm even remembering that correctly. When you go down that one tunnel and then they're in the bunker and they're already shooting at you, I'm like, okay, I guess they always were shooting at me. I couldn't avoid them. So maybe it's just a recalibration of what you have to do for this game. But even some of the mission objectives, knowing you can interact with them or not is not obvious. And I still think this game would benefit from an actual remake or remaster. But I guess that's all we got for now. And it's okay. It did not be like, I thought, oh, I'm going to play through. I don't want to play this because I think once I sit down with it, I'm going to play through the entire game. I was not even close to that. I was like, okay, itch scratched. Bye-bye.
Yeah, I did. I played it a bit too. I played the dam on 00 Agent just to see what all the missions were about. And the first mission where it's like connect the modem to the internet or the TV screen. And I'm like, I think I'm in the right spot. And I go to like throw it onto the TV screen and my aim was off and it like hit to the side and it was like failed. You did not connect it properly. I'm like, what? Like, come on.
I didn't even know you had to throw it at it. I was like, oh, yeah. I think it's rough.
I mean, that's a real flashback to how video games used to be, right? Like it's definitely not holding your hand and it's not necessarily a good thing. Like it's just, it's so easy to fail the mission and not even know why. But I will say, when we talked about that this was coming out and we were kind of like, do people realize what they're getting into with this game? I actually have been playing through a bunch of the levels. And I mean, I don't know if I'm going to end up playing through the whole thing, but I found it playable enough, like just, with like a decent frame rate and stuff. And I was kind of enjoying it. Like it's definitely, like you guys are saying, the objectives and things like that are annoying. But just kind of walking around and shooting people and like all the different weapons. Played a bit of multiplayer as well, which was fun.
The pistol still feels great.
Yeah, it's still very playable, I think. I mean, going back and playing it on an N64 is not, but this version on the Xbox anyway, I've heard the Switch version, the controls are a little weird. I'm not too sure what that means, but
well, I just want to amend your statement, at least from my perspective. It is functional now. I still don't think it's playable.
Well, I guess the one thing too is, your instinct is to like try and aim at everything. But if you don't actually hold down the shoulder button to aim, there's definitely an auto aim there that is probably a much more efficient way to shoot a lot of the enemies. Maybe that's cheesing the game at this point. I don't really know, but
I think you could actually see the gun do the auto aim and then you could just choose to shoot, if I recall.
Yeah.
And also I would say that I like the missions. I just think the signposting and like the mechanics to actually complete the missions, like the example I gave of connecting the modem, could use some tweaking. But I like that there's additional missions. I don't know if that was what you meant by they're rough or whatever you said, but I like that there is that depth to it if you want it.
Yeah, I agree. Like you said before, the changing objectives at different difficulty levels and stuff. I think that's pretty cool. But yeah, it's interesting. Like I feel like people who did not play the original, who come in and load it up, are just gonna be like, what the hell? It's like, I don't know if they'll fully appreciate it or care, but it is such a time capsule. The fact that they've basically presented it almost exactly as it was, I think is kind of cool. But I mean, there was a remake a few years back for the Wii, which is actually not bad. Did they release that on Xbox and PlayStation at some point too? I think they did.
I think so. Yeah.
I don't know.
Almost positive.
Yeah. So anyway, there is a slightly upgraded version out there if you're interested in that, but yeah, it's kind of fun.
So the game that has captured my attention is Forspoken, which I had bought when it came out, but I had not started until this week. And we have an award as part of the Junkies, the Film Junk end of year awards, and it's called the Guzzling Vodka Award. And that goes to the movie that is not good, but I'm oddly compelled to rewatch. I think The Wrong Missy was the inspiration for this award. And Forspoken is my guzzling vodka game. It is rough. There's things that are bad about it, but then there are great things, and I just want to keep playing it. I can't explain it. Like, I should have been like, okay, I should have given up on this game, but I can't. I should be playing Horizon Forbidden West. It's, I would say, a better game than this, but I'm more compelled to play Forspoken. And everything with this game is hit and miss. The writing is, the world building's decent. There's conceptual ideas to the writing, like a modern Alice in Wonderland. You have this companion that's a cuff. So rather than someone walking with you, you talk to a cuff that's attached to you. That I think is a compelling interaction. It's almost like a buddy cop type scenario that includes a fish out of water element. That is an interesting idea. The execution of the actual dialogue is very hit and miss. It features another, well, I guess I like the design of the main character, but that character, I can't remember where else this came up. They just say the F word constantly, literally there's one, I think people are talking about this on the internet, but like they just say fuck 10 times in a row. And I it's such a strange choice to me. It's really obnoxious. Oh, I know where I noticed it in the Last of Us TV show. That's a thing with Ellie as well, where it's just saying the F word constantly to make them seem tough. I don't know. It's a very strange choice, and it's that character is way overwritten. And I think from a perspective of trying to be cool, and it's a disservice to the game. But I like that they kind of reinvented combat and the spell stuff. I have to get used to it, but as I get used to it, I do like it. I love the menus. They're like a totally new type of menu system, very robust, interesting. They look different, but I appreciate that they're different. As for bad stuff, like every time you enter something, like the transitions are so slow, so like I'm waiting 3 seconds for a character to get into place so a cutscene can play. Like, it just lacks expected polish for a game of this caliber. This, with another year of polish, this game could have been, I might say, amazing if they could have figured out some of the writing elements. But I like the open world. I like that they're coming up with new ideas, new enemies. The enemy designs I really like. The effects for the spells look awesome. There's certain characters I'm really enjoying, but it feels like such a missed opportunity. But I want to play it because I wish more games would do this. Everything's a sequel or a property that already exists. And I like that this game dared to try something different. And I kind of want to give it a fair chance, to the point of doing everything in the game. I might give up, but right now I want to go back and keep playing it. And my goal is to actually beat this game, as rough as it may be, because like I said, I'm oddly compelled to keep playing it. And this is what I kind of hoped Sonic, what's it called? Sonic Frontiers? It's very similar to Sonic Frontiers to me, like great ideas, a little jank, not perfect, could have used more time, but there's more to Forspoken for me than there was to Sonic Frontiers. Oh, the other thing, I love the main character's model, and I usually don't get into swapping equipment in some of these games, but I really like that's how they did that. And they have this idea of nail polish. So you can customize the character by changing their nails, which with like spells and casting with your hands, I just think it's a cool idea that hasn't been done in a game before. I thought that was a really neat twist on customizing a character that makes sense contextually in the game. So there's small touches like that, I don't know. There's 4 contributing writers, like Amy Hennig, Gary Whitta, I think, and then others. I don't know who did what, but it's really a mixed bag when it comes to that stuff. I don't know who's a consultant, who's writing dialogue, but it is so inconsistent in its delivery of those types of ideas. And the mission design so far is like a lot of follow quests, like chasing a cat in a city, which like, how is this in here? Like
wasn't there a mission like that for Spider-Man? I feel like there was some
maybe, but
like that was I was kind of annoyed by.
There's one kind of like that in Final Fantasy VII Remake as well.
Yeah, it's like the whole series of missions are those finding cat missions. I don't know if they're using a similar engine or features because they're both Square Enix, but if I had flashbacks to the not so great side quests in Final Fantasy VII. But the spell combat, I'm getting used to it, and it is good, but it does lack some functionality for parrying. But I'm willing to say I'm just not used to the game yet. I'll weigh in as to like whether or not I think it's actually broken in the future. But it's a cool world. I want to like this game. It's a force feed all the way, and I'm force feeding big time.
So come for the menus, stay for the nail polish.
Sure.
I've heard some good things about it too, but I've heard that it's kind of like, I guess, like a lot of open world games, a lot of the side quest stuff, if you are trying to do everything, that really kills your enjoyment of the game.
I oddly like the side quests. When I'm out in the open world and just going from marker to marker on the map, I'm having fun. It's like the story and dialogue stuff that's like a drain on me at times. I'm like, oh my God, like it's just so, some of the writing is so bad. So bad.
Well, I mean, that's cool. I kind of want to check it out at some point. So,
I mean, anyone listening to this that doesn't have a lot of cash, it will be on sale for dirt cheap very soon. So I wouldn't rush to it unless you've got the guzzling vodka urge I do. But the demo's out there. The demo is overwhelming, though. I don't think it's a great representation of the game. But I'm like 7 hours in, I think. I played 7 hours this weekend.
Pretty good.
Not bad.
Nothing else for me.
Yeah, nothing else really for me either.
I got one more. Didn't play it a lot, but I've been hearing some buzz about this game. Pizza Tower, a new 2D platformer on Steam with like the graphical style reminds me of like Sega Genesis era stuff like Boogerman and Ren and Stimpy. That era, which I like after getting used to it. The gameplay is inspired by one of the Wario 2D platformer games. I don't know which one. Is it like Gold Rush? Does that sound?
I thought it just said the Wario Land games in general.
Wario Land? Okay. It's like you're kind of moving fast, maintaining momentum and speed, going through these levels. I liked it. It's got a very Forspoken and this both have unique control schemes where I don't think I can switch back and forth between them. Like you need to play one of these games and dedicate yourself to it for a while. So I like Pizza Tower, but something I need to come back to. But if you're into fast 2D platformers, definitely give it a look on Steam.
It's almost giving me like Sonic vibes.
Yeah.
With the speed.
Yeah, it looks cool. I mean, it's definitely just added to my wish list now, but it's interesting, the Wario Land thing, because that's like a whole series I have absolutely no knowledge of. Like, I feel like there may be like a generation that really played those games and really liked them. And it's just like completely a blind spot for me. I've never played any of them.
I tried one for Game Boy Advance. I think it was a Gold Rush on GameCube. I think was that Wario Land 4 or something like that.
There was Wario Land Shake It on the Wii, and then I think there was Wario Land 1, 2, 3, and 4. I'm not sure what the Gold Rush one is.
Yeah, I don't know where I'm getting that. Or WarioWare Gold.
Wario Land Golden Diva.
That's a micro game. Yeah,
that's a boss.
I don't know why that's even. That's such a whatever. It's a pretty fun game.
Cool.
I agree. The Wario Land games mean nothing to me, but maybe they were good based on this.
Yeah.
Let's get a remake and remaster of all those.
I did actually look. I mean, a couple of them are available on the eShop for 3DS, I guess, if that's even still a thing. But yeah, nothing on the Switch, believe it or not.
Oh, I believe it.
Yeah, I guess not hard to believe.
Okay, well, that's going to do it for this week's show. Check us out on youtube.com/GameJunk. Discord link is on there. See, maybe there'll be some news this week. Maybe I'll play some Dead Space Remake, and we'll figure out something. We'll come up with some bullshit list if we have to. Either way, thanks for listening or watching. Bye-bye.